This is the story of the slave trade between Europe and Africa, a tragic tale of coastal villages raided and men, women and children carried off into captivity, loaded onto ships, taken to be sold as slaves in another continent and never seeing their homes again. A familiar enough narrative, except that in this case, the villages being depopulated in this way were English, and the slave traders arrived in ships which had sailed from Africa. Long before the British ever became involved in the slave trade, slavers out of Africa were raiding not only the British Isles, but many other European countries, from Iceland to Malta, Ireland to Spain, and Italy to the Netherlands, carrying off white slaves to be sold in the slave markets of Africa.
That was originally laid out. It was a divine plan. America didn't happen by chance. All this was part of the divine plan that this would come about. The Moors then had a plan for a new world order. A one world, new world order. That was a Moorish plan originally. The Europeans inherited that plan through the Masonic Lodge, which was the vehicle by which we civilized and taught the Europeans. And so now when we hear them saying it, we ready to throw out the baby with the bathwater, thinking it's from them. No, we originally laid out that plan for one divine world order. And they merely inherited it. And when we fell off, they still espoused it. Even though many of them are not carrying out right and exact, because you got to understand,
between the years when the oceans drank Atlantis and the rise of the sons of Arius. There was an age undreamed of, when shining kingdoms lay spread across the world. Then came the dark empire of Acheron, where cruel necromancers sought secrets of resurrection. They crafted a mask from the bones of kings and awakened its wrath with the pure blood of their daughters. The mask summoned spirits of unspeakable evil, giving them power no mortal men should possess. Acheron enslaved the civilized world. Only the barbarian tribes were left to rise up against them.
Were trampled into the earth, and the blood became as snow. Who knows what they came for? Weapons of steel or murder? It was never known, for the leader rode to the south, while children went north with the banner. No one would ever know that my lord's people had lived at all. His was a tale of sorrow. Once giants lived in the earth, Conan. Once giants lived in the earth, Conan.
Start to serve Esau, the fake Jews. Because in 1492, they lost the war, and after 700 years of ruling Spain and a large part of Europe, they were kicked out. What else happened in 1492? Columbus sailed the ocean blue. Remember that from school? But it's not a coincidence that Columbus sailed for America. The Moors had ancient knowledge. They had maps. They were seafarers from ancient times. They had knowledge from the fallen ones. They knew where America was. They put a plan together to come and take over the new land. What they call America? The New World. What they calling it now? The New World Order, right? It was always in the plan. As you can see, Christopher Columbus throwing up the M hand sign, which is also the 33 hand sign. He was of mixed heritage, Esau and Cannanite blood. Look at his ships, the Red Cross, the Red Shields, the Rothschilds. Start putting it together.
Brazil was colonized by Portugal right around the time of the Inquisition, a time when many Jews fled Europe for the New World, with over 1,600 settled in Brazil. As early as 1501, the Spanish crown published an edict that, and I quote, Moors, Jews, heretics, and new Christians are not allowed to go to the Indies.
The founding of America was based on Moorish science. If you see paintings of the inauguration of George Washington, it looked like a Masonic ritual. So again, Masonry is based on Moorish science. So they would have these Moorish advisors around them. If you look at old paintings of George Washington, you will see George Washington standing next to a black man with a turban. And remember, when you see the black man with the turban, that's a Moor. That's not a slave. See, people automatically assume that black is slave, but slaves didn't wear no turbans. Because remember, slaves weren't allowed to practice no Islam or any other kind of religion except Christianity, or black men with turbans standing next to them. When you see that, just know that those are Moors.
Of the Battle of Bunker Hill. Here's the Battle of Bunker Hill. Bunch of white guys, right? Unless you know where to look. Right here. That's Peter Salem. He was actually the hero of the battle. It doesn't look like he's a hero there. He looks like he's cowering behind the white guy with a sword. He was the hero of the battle. And he saved scores of American lives that day. Why don't we know this? Look here. African American, helping row the boat across. You know what his name was? Prince Whipple. He fought alongside Washington during the Revolution. Take a look at this one. This painting of, this is the Marquis de Lafayette. If you look at this, you just think, oh yeah, and then he made his slave dress up like I don't know what. But that's what you would think, right? This guy is incredibly important. This guy may have won the Revolutionary War. James Armistead was his name. How did he win the Revolutionary War? Double spy. I'm going to let David tell the story here in a minute, but basically the Brits thought that he was spying for them, but he was spying for General Washington. He'd give the Brits bad intel and reveal the good critical information to General Washington. Did you know this story? Why? I'm so tired of people saying, well, it was just the white people, white people, white people. No. Why are we intentionally leaving others out? There are black founders in history.
And the black founders are not the Hebrew people. They are the people that helped Esau enslave the Hebrew people, the true, real Hebrew people of the Bible, the tribe of Judah. This is hidden history, but it goes deep. But most of the people they're going to be talking about, black slave owners, they were actually Moors. Very few were Hebrews that owned slaves. They would hang a Hebrew for just trying to read a book. You think they're going to let them own slaves?
The little we can learn about Ellison as a slave owner isn't pretty. The book Black Masters chronicles Ellison's life in the antebellum South and suggests that his slaves were the worst fed and clothed of any in Stateburg. It also suggests that Ellison was a slave breeder, selling off infant girls, a practice even some white owners found cruel. Whatever the case, Ellison certainly had a good relationship with other white aristocracy. This contract shows that Ellison didn't just buy a home in wealthy Stateburg, he bought it directly from former Governor Stephen Miller, a governor and former slave trading property. He was the wealthiest black man in South Carolina, the fourth wealthiest in the South, wealthier than more than 90% of whites. Just a few hundred yards from the Ellison home is the Ellison graveyard, private, neither mixed with other white nor black tombstones, symbolic of his unusual position in the pre-war South.
He was a Moor.
A position so few of us even knew existed.
Whatever happened during Reconstruction, and then up through the Jim Crow era, anything and everything that had to deal with the relationships between the blacks and the whites just went underground.